what is something you did at the early stages of business that had the biggest impact?
All right, you ready? All right, it was a Sunday morning and I was sitting in bed and Bianca recommended a book to me by Robert Kiyosaki, not Rich Dad Poor Dad. Right, absolutely not Rich Dad Poor Dad. Although I enjoyed that book, it isn't the favorite that everyone else seems to be. It was actually a book called The Cash Flow Quadrant.
Great book.
Oh, it's so good. I think it's underappreciated as a side note. I think it's better than Rich Dad Poor Dad. Notably, though, Rich Dad Poor Dad is pretty damn good.
Yeah, but that name appeals to everybody compared to Cash Flow Quadrant.
Yeah, so Cash Flow Quadrant is specific for business owners. I think is probably the key differential here. Now, to give the context of the book basically describes the difference between someone who's an employee or self-employed versus someone who is an investor and a business owner. And the key construct of it is how your time is owned. So if you're an employee or you're self-employed, you stop, money stops. But if you're an investor or a business owner, right, well, you can stop, money still work. So you've got money invested, the assets are working for you. Or if you have a business and you've got a team that will operate the business, well, they're operating it and you're the business owner. Yep. Now, to this point, I was delusional in thinking I was a business owner. Right? So up until here, you asked me what I did, I would tell you, and you could put me on a lie detector, Charlie, you're a business owner. Yes, I am. Where's my awards?
I've got one that's on my wall. It says entrepreneur.
You're certified. You're certified, my friend.
I got a stamp. That says I am. So, yes.
Okay, so
you felt like you weren't.
I read this book and I'm sitting there and like hours are passing. I couldn't put it down. And eventually the moment came and I threw the book at the wall. And why would you throw this book at the wall? Because it hit me like a ton of bricks. I wasn't a business owner. I was actually self-employed. And what I had done is essentially built myself into a business that couldn't operate without me. Now, the challenges I was experiencing was the business was growing and the whole game was just, Charlie, run faster. Run faster, run faster. Now, I had team at this time, but what I had constructed was this way of like everything had to run through me to get done. So let's say, we'll use a simple example here. We're going to make a website. Why not? It'd be like, all right, cool. So the graphic designer would make the design, but then he had to send it to me before I would send it to the developer. And the developer would then work with me to go back to the graphic designer to get the edits done. And then we'd go get a writer to talk to this. And like you can see the levels of complexity building.
Totally.
Right. Where it's not like I said, team, build a website and they took care of it. It was, oh shit, Charlie's doing everything and micromanaging everyone. And this is you being self-employed. Now, there's nothing wrong with being self-employed if you want to be self-employed. But if you were as delusional as I was, you think that what you're doing is you're a business owner and it's going to lead to that. But fundamentally, the way I had set this business up was wrong. Absolutely wrong. Now, the second I worked that out and understood what it was to be a business owner, well, now I could make change to it, change in a huge way. And I'm going to give a shout out to this. The guy who helped me the most with this was a guy called Dave Jennings. Now, he had an SEO company at the time, and I was doing a variety of bullshit. Let's just put it in that category.
Yes.
Yeah, we'll put it out there. We'll come back to that point maybe later on. But Dave was kite surfing a couple of days a week or windsurfing. I'm not sure what the actual apparatus of the sport is, but like his lifestyle was dramatically better than mine. He had a very similar business. We're both agency owners. I'm like, this dude knows something I don't. He set it up as a business and I've set it up as a self-employed operation. And I went and worked with Dave. I paid him to mentor me and help me on some things. And he changed my world, like absolutely changed my world in like what it was to run a business as a business owner. And that's what enabled the foundation of actually being able to grow something past myself. Now, if that moment didn't ever happen, if I didn't actually construct the idea of building a business rather than building a self-employed operation, Charlie doesn't get to where he does today. Like that was the bedrock it was built upon. And just as a quick side note, Dave was so good at that, he's literally gone on to write the book on systemizing businesses.
Systemology.
Like you can go and work with Dave and get certified as a systemologist. And you say, Charlie, he's like, that's pretty full on. Literally, I kid you not, Michael Gerber, the guy who wrote the E-Myth, now works with Dave. That's how good he is at those things. So I was very, very fortunate to have him in proximity. But that was in the early stages, undoubtedly one of the most fundamental changes that got me.
How amazing. Because I've been fortunate enough to see you through most of that journey. And one thing that you continue to reflect on right now is the difference between like being self-employed and being a business owner. Like it has deep-seated this side of you so much that you've taken that one lesson for, I don't know, call it like a decade now of just going, no, am I self-employed or a business owner? Am I self-employed or a business owner?
Well, the one that kind of rubs up against me a little bit, I'm self-employed by this podcast. Right, I'm actually trying to be in this and do this. So I could, would this podcast work if we hired the other talent? And I think that's where the differential is. When people set up businesses, like sometimes you want to be doing things within your business. It's okay to be self-employed in a podcast if that's your goal, but it's that delusional aspect. It's when you're running a business self-employed, not realizing it, that the real danger occurs.
And so your biggest impact was like the awareness piece to the actions that you were taking and how that helped you scale well beyond yourself and continue on from that.
Can I use an analogy?
Let's do it.
All right. I want you to imagine, and I'm going to use a fitness one here, is that I'm getting up every day running a marathon, right? Which is what I was doing, thinking it was going to put muscle on me. All right. So I'm waking up, I'm running my marathon, and like I'm thinking, one day I'm going to look like Arnold Schwarzenegger. Right, so you can the delusion.
Yeah.
And then I meet Dave, who's lifting weights and smashing protein, and it's like, well, if I fundamentally change the operating system underneath, well, when I take on the approach that Dave has, well, suddenly I'm making progress towards that. So to go even further than that, the real symptom I was experiencing at the time is I was just like locked at a level of growth. Like I think I was making like $5,000 a month maybe at that time, and didn't have the ability to scale it. So that became the limiter within that. So just in the idea that if I'm, running a marathon every day, like what real chance do I have of stacking on more muscle? Like you might try and eat more food or something like that, but it's not an approach to build muscle if that is the goal. Where when you change the framework and like operating system you run with and adopt that idea of, the Arnold Schwarzenegger, isn't there like a Bible of bodybuilding?
Yeah, like
Encyclopedia of Bodybuilding. That's the one.
The almanac.
Yeah, well, now suddenly you can grow into that if that's what you're going for. Where a lot of people, and I see this quite commonly, and I'm sure you do at times, they stay in that self-employed mode and just keep pushing up against it, and they end up so busy, so busy that their life is just an absolute grind.
Yep.
They never get out of it.
Hey, fellow business owner, if this topic and value-packed short video has resonated with you at all, and you want to dive deeper into creating wealth inside and outside your business, check out the full episode by clicking the link on your screen or in the description right now.